Dear sisters, I would like to share with you a little reflection on the theme learning to live beyond our fears. The spiritual writer Ronald Rolheiser, in his book Forgotten Among the Lilies, aptly explains the experience of everyday life. He says, rarely is life enough for us. Rarely are we able to live restfully the spirit of our own lives. Most often, what, where, and how we are living seems small, insignificant, and dissatisfied. We seldom notice our hunger and sleep, cold and warmth. Rarely do we taste the coffee or tea we drink. Instead, we go through our days too preoccupied, too compulsive, too driven, too dissatisfied, and too busy to celebrate our own lives. Always it seems we are somehow missing out on our life. Added to this restlessness is fear and guilt. We live in fear about losing life, losing health, losing a position, losing security, losing youth, losing respect, losing ourselves, and especially in the situation of the pandemic, we fear losing our loved ones. Added to this, our lives are always colored by guilt. Guilt about things we have done wrong, guilt about things we have not done at all, and guilt at times simply about being alive, healthy, and experiencing life's joys and peace. Margaret Atwood, an author, has said, "What touches you is what you touch." Accordingly, the challenges to cope with everyday experiences of fear touches a whole lot of things, like our inner restlessness, our feeling of guilt and struggles of reconciliation, the efforts to remain patient, the practice of the evangelical vows, the fear of death and loss of God's unconditional love, a fear of not being interested in the mission of the community, the experience of friendship and love in the community, the effects of social problems, human complexity. Added to this, we also at times struggle with our own weaknesses and inclination to sin. The struggle to experience God in prayer, in the Holy Eucharist, and the difficulties to change the things I want to in my life. How we allow ourselves to be touched by these everyday realities touch our inner growth and journey towards the fullness of life. It is said that the eagle has the longest lifespan of its species. It can live up to 70 years. But to reach this age, the eagle must make a hard decision. In its 40s, its long and flexible claws can no longer grab the prey which serves as food. Its long and sharp beak becomes bent. Its old age and heavy wings, due to the thick feathers, become stuck to the chest and makes it difficult to fly. Then the eagle is left with only two choices: die or go through a painful process of change which lasts about 150 days. The process requires the eagle to fly to a mountain top and sit on its nest. There the eagle knocks its beak against a rock until it plucks it out. When its new claws grow back, the eagle starts plucking its old age feathers. And after 5 months, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for 30 more years. Learning to live beyond our fear is not easy. But the life of the eagle, willing to go through the pain and suffering before it takes its famous flight of rebirth, can inspire us. The eagle longs to live its life to the full, for which it willingly goes through the process of pain and change. The journey of learning to live beyond our fears begins when we deeply long for life, life in its fullness, which is found only in God. In the Psalms, we read Psalm 42, "Like the deer that yearns for running stream, so my heart yearns for you, my God." The Psalm 62 will beautifully pray, "For God alone my soul waits in silence. From Him comes my salvation. He is my rock, my salvation, my fortress." Our fears, our restlessness finds its rest in God alone, who said, "Come to me, all who are heavily laden, and I will give you rest." In our everyday life, we constantly become that we are incomplete. Our lives are with fear, pain, restlessness, and deep longing. The restlessness is singularly the most important force within us. It is a force for love, and we are fundamentally shaped by our love, either positively or not so positively. However, the awareness of life can make us realize more and more that everything I desire cannot be attained in this life. The symphonies of my life can remain unfinished. In awareness of my limitedness, either I can turn to God like St. Augustine and say, "You have made us for yourself, Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." Or I can also turn to things which momentarily gives rest for our life, like a good life, comfort, power, position, finance, influence, etc. The pursuit to seek happiness from things can lead us away from everything, from God, from people, and from our very self. A step forward to live beyond our fears is to anchor our life in God, clinging to Him with deep longing. Another experience of our restlessness comes from the awareness or experience of seeing our lives as too small for us. We see ourselves as extraordinary persons living a very ordinary life. We see we are not important, therefore, we are not satisfied, at ease, and happy with our lives. There is always too much still inside us that wants expression, that needs recognition, that feels that something very precious, unique, and rich is living and dying inside me uselessly. In this experience of our life, the life of Christ shows us the way. Jesus, during his life on this earth, was not recognized by many. He was despised, called a mad person, son of the carpenter, chased away from the place, slapped, scourged, crucified, and died in immense pain and buried in another person's tomb. Christ's experience of not being recognized as a Messiah by the authority and the chosen people of God did not stop him from fulfilling his mission of redemption. The life of Christ shows us a way forward, especially when we feel that we are not recognized, not given respect and importance. Christ was always aware that he was the beloved of the Father, who was well pleased with him, and this is the key to go beyond our fears. Let us be convinced that we are not accidents or simple victims of fate, chance, or luck, or some random people who are doomed to disappear forever. Deep down, let us affirm that we are God's children, under God's providence, loved and called to a birth, life, and meaning and significance that is unique and infinitely precious. We must know that we are precious not on the basis of what we accomplish or what we achieve during our lives, but simply on the basis of being created and loved by God. We are beloved of God, and our life should be pleasing to Him. Our preciousness and significance comes from being loved by God, not from what we can achieve. The life of St. Anne reflects this wonderful reality. The holy couple definitely would have faced immense hardship of being childless, and as they advanced in age, they could have lost hope. But they did not lose hope. They longingly held on to God in faith, hope, and love. And God blessed them to experience preciousness, meaning, and significance of their lives. Learning to live beyond our fears is rooted in our deep longing for God. Willing to undergo the spirituality of our daily life with its joys and pains, but remembering we are most precious and important in the eyes of our Creator, and it is in Him we find our significance and meaning, and it is in Him alone we find rest for our fears. May the Heavenly Patron, St. Anne, intercede and bless us to live our life beyond our fears and to hold on to God in faith, hope, and love. Amen.